detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us, and Merry Christmas. I hope everyone has enjoyed the festivities and their Christmas break. Tonight's film is a little bit of something different. It is a Christmas movie and it is a horror movie, but it's actually got some musical elements, Jared. So it's a little bit outside of our normal wheelhouse. It's Anna and the Apocalypse from 2017. But before we get to that, let's just do a little bit of up or down and cover a bit of news. The first thing on the up or down scale for me is the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer that dropped. It's directed by Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, and it stars Paul Rudd and Finn Wolfhard from It. I'm an up at this stage. There's not a lot. It doesn't show a lot. It doesn't particularly give you a lot, but it looks like they're taking a different approach to what they did with the all-girl one, which I was quite happy with. Yeah. I didn't have too many problems with the one that came out more recently with Melissa McCarthy. I thought it was actually all right.
Yeah, it was good fun. I mean, it's nowhere near the original.
No. But then again, Ghostbusters 2 was pretty bad.
Well, that's right. So many people didn't give it a chance just because it had girls and a different team. I was like, it was all right. Yeah. It was a bit of fun.
I like the fact that this one seems to be connected to the first two.
Yeah, well, just the connection in general is probably, I don't know. Obviously, some people didn't respond well to the fact that it was just a whole new, just a reboot in general. Yeah. It didn't really have a connection to the original team,
because all the others were back, but they weren't playing the characters.
They weren't playing, So,
whereas in this one, I believe they are.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
As far as I'm aware.
And I thought there was a couple of like cool kind of little nods, you know, finding the suit that has Egon Spengler's name on it and all that sort of stuff. I reckon it looks okay. And it could certainly have some possibilities for me. So
I'm Paul Rudd, I mean, you can't dislike the bloke. He's very amusing.
Unless you watch Halloween.
Does a fantastic cover
Six.
of... he does a great cover of King of Wishful Thinking. So.
Looks very similar to the bloke out of Go West, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right. So you're definitely an up?
Yeah, I'm an up. Yeah. As you said, there's not a hell of a lot shown at this stage, so...
I say keep it that way, though. I'm getting a bit tired of these trailers that seem to tell you the whole fucking movie.
Well, that's the thing. They just gave you enough, and they gave you, as you said, a couple of moments to just kind of, you know, just tickled just a little bit.
Tickled.
That's what you're after at this point.
Exactly. Oh, and on the news front, Jared, Stephen King will be able to pay his mortgage again.
The lights will be on in the King household for another week or two.
Because I believe there's in the pipeline there is a new version of The Dark Half, which I'm very keen on because I love the book. I thought it was excellent. I thought the original movie version was actually okay.
Who was it?
It was George Romero.
But who was the actor?
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. Shit. Should have been Dalton.
And
unfortunately, he was next in line after Hutton and Michael Norrie, I believe.
Norrie turned it down and Hutton was handed it begrudgingly.
And then when he turned up, Romero said, I said Dalton, not Hutton.
And they've also got a... in the works, the Man of the 2000s has got from a Buick 8, which I am very excited about because that is one of my favourite King novels.
Yeah.
There's also some HBO series that he's got rolling out, The
Outsider. I've read The Outsider.
Which I saw the preview for, which looks fucking great.
Yeah. Well, Ben Mendelsohn. Jesus.
I watch
Mendelsohn in anything Jason at the moment.
Bateman is also in it. And it looks good too.
So Stephen won't be holding any garage sales or anything like that.
It doesn't have to sell anything. You don't have to sell anything. You can stick where you are at the moment.
Yep. Give him a couple of weeks, Artie. You know, we might be Stephen's crying poor and needs to sell a couple of original manuscripts of his novels or something like that.
He's just having a renaissance, isn't he?
Honestly, I think
he can't keep up with it.
The bloke, to me, in my head, he's like Scrooge McDuck. He just, strolls down to his money pit and goes for a fucking swim in the morning. Because don't forget, didn't we spoke just recently about a lot of his properties are coming up to that same time frame that's allowed Victor Miller to challenge Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So He's gonna be
He's
taking back handfuls of properties. Like,
I believe he's already bought up a fair bit of it, hasn't he?
but he's just like to sell again.
Yeah.
But he's going to be able to cut in this day and age. He's going to be able to cut better deals.
Yeah. He's going.
Fuck.
That doesn't include that will include a lot of his old stuff.
Yeah.
Like
I think stuff like Carrie.
That
and
doesn't
things like
include
original film
all this
deals.
new stuff that's getting made.
No.
It includes a lot of that shit like the Dead Zone and,
it will
Firestarter and all that.
avoid deals with like the the vultures in from it coming back around to say, hey, we wanted a chance to produce another one.
Yeah.
Stephen will hold all the cards this time around.
Yep. And he's already, I believe, scooped up some of it.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's picked up Graveyard Shift.
Oh, mate, he'd be picking up everything.
Do you reckon he's picking up Children of the Corn?
Absolutely, because someone will say, oh, fuck, we missed out on it. What else is available? Children of the Corn? Oh, we can work with that. How much are we going to... I'll throw the bank at him.
I think that the greatest thing that's happened to him is on TV.
Yeah.
Like he has been able to expand his
that's
work
right.
on TV
Exactly.
into 10 episodes.
Well, expanding
series
his own books, but then expanding something like Castle Rock, where it's people being allowed to just play in his universe, essentially.
You know what?
And look, I'm not begrudging the bloke. He's fucking shaped our lives, our childhoods and adulthoods with his work, and I can still continue to read it and watch it and consume it as much as I can. So I'm just happy that he won't be knocking on the Salvo's door anytime soon.
He's having Christmas dinner at home.
Damn right. It's going to be a large turkey.
Mate, his agent can't keep up with it. I'm serious. He's probably got two agents. He calls left and right.
I think his agent's office is like the little bloody telephone thing in John Wick. There's about 50 people on the lines. Everyone else that the agent's representing's just got a paltry one person sitting there taking all the calls.
He's got 500 different people. His buddy, he's just the output is just incredible at the moment.
Yeah.
It's never seen anything like it. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about 2017's Anna and the Apocalypse.
Further updates, reports of mass infection with the as yet unidentified virus continue to come in from across the world.
Hey guys.
Have a good morning.
Sure, it'll be the same as always.
Can you hear me? I'm a first aider. New morning feels different than before. And I'm flying.
There's zombies.
Not zombies.
Oh, right, because that's perfectly normal.
I'm ready for turning my life around.
Hey, zombies, right? It's crazy. I know.
We are not opening the doors.
My little girl's out there.
I'm getting my dad, all right?
How are we going to get past all the zombies?
I just had the best idea ever.
This is the stupidest idea ever.
All right, losers.
What do I do? Like the movie! Destroy the brain!
We go through here, we might make it to the school before sundown. Plus, it'll be fun.
Yeah, certain death is so much fun.
This isn't fun anymore.
Search hashtag evac selfie.
Well, we all deserve to go extinct.
Anna and the Apocalypse from 2017. It's directed by John McPhail, who did another film called Where Do We Go From Here. It's written by Alan McDonald and Ryan McHenry and produced by Nathan Alacaru, Nicholas Cram and Tracy Jarvis. It stars Ella Hunt as Anna Shepherd, Malcolm Cumming as John, Sarah Swire as Steph North and Christopher LaRue as Chris Wise. I couldn't find info on the budget. I'm assuming it's pretty low. And the box office, I think, was about 750K worldwide.
I think it's found a bit of a life on streaming and
DVD.
Such.
And it was filmed in Port Glasgow in Scotland. All right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that you said, the writer, Ryan
McHenry.
Yeah.
McHenry.
I believe he had made a short of this and kind of he passed away before he actually got a chance to build on it.
Yep.
And so, old mate, the director, took it on because he was a friend of his. So.
Yeah. Look, I am going to preface my thoughts. I have never had a problem with musical numbers. I've copped a bit of stick on this podcast about supposedly liking Glee. Never proven. But I haven't got a problem with adding musical numbers to this type of genre. And I think it can work.
It adds a bit of freshness,
It
no
adds
doubt.
something new. There was another one, a slasher one, from a few years before called Stage Fright. It did something similar. I believe Meatloaf was in it.
Yep.
Possibly doing a AFL grand final
I
number.
was going to say, if it's after 2010, I'm not sure how he got a singing part because he's clearly forgotten how to do that.
But the problem for this is, and I did not hate this film, there's a couple of really standout sequences that I really liked, but the problem with the musical stuff is it's just not very memorable. So if you're going to grab me, you got to grab me with something memorable, and the rest of it is kind of derivative of... I mean, nothing's new under the sun in zombie flicks.
No.
I mean, everything has been done. So it's difficult, but it's quite derivative of something like Shaun of the Dead, down to how some of the scenes are actually shot is very similar.
Yep.
So for me, it's kind of like a really good try, but it didn't quite make it, and I gave it 2.5. I sort of felt it's there and thereabouts, but just not quite enough.
Okay. I had a little bit of a different take. I felt early on the musical numbers were absolute belters, but it tapered off.
Yeah.
So I think...
No doubt about that.
Early on, the first two...
The better songs are at the start.
The first two in the school and the one where she comes out of the house...
Yeah.
Where the apocalypse is going on, but she's oblivious to it.
That was cool.
They were fantastic. They were good tunes. I was actually humming a lot. The Breaking Away. I was fucking humming along to that shit. I loved it. But the problem I felt was all the good tunes were stacked early, and then there was a couple of stinkers down the stretch.
Definitely.
As you said, the zombie stuff is a little bit derivative. I also had a problem with the downer tone. I felt like... I get why, but I felt like if you're mixing in the Christmas film, there's got to be some sort of positivity to the way that it ends. It's got to be some sort of, I don't know, maybe that was their intention, to put a skew on the Christmas film and say, the world's just a fucking shithole in general.
Yeah.
But I felt like if you're going to go this route, that you had to take bits from each genres, and if you're taken from the Christmas movie, you've got to have an uplifting kind of spin at the end, don't you? That's what I felt. Overall, I'm kind of in the same, although I disagreed about the musical stuff because I felt a couple of them were real gems. There was a couple where I felt like I was watching the Buffy musical episode, which had a couple of really cool numbers as well. I just felt, tape it off, and the downer ending didn't quite fit. So I felt similar in that, good try. There was a couple of parts that were verging on absolute classic zombie film moments.
Yeah.
But there was too many bits where it dropped off, or the moment was undercut by the lead-up work not being there.
Yeah.
So...
And from a character perspective, there are a couple of good characters, but then, for instance, her ex-boyfriend... He is just nobody.
Underdone.
And they try and insert a scene of a sort of emotion for him about losing his crew.
And it's
I'm
fucking
like,
horseshit.
you didn't even know them.
Yeah.
So how can you pull that?
I settled on a 3.
3.
Because I still really enjoyed it. I really, really liked parts of it.
Yeah.
But
I felt the better parts were further into the film.
It's one of those ones where I felt like this is so close to being an absolute belter. Like, I looked at it and I'm like, I'm getting a bit of Shaun of the Dead and I'm getting a bit of Evil Dead the Musical, which I was lucky enough to see.
What the fuck was that?
Off-Broadway.
How far off Broadway?
It was a couple of streets off Broadway. But, yeah, I the tone I felt was really similar to that.
Yeah.
And I got a bit of both. And, as I said, some moments that were just a hair off real absolute classic stuff.
There was a couple of really good moments.
I don't know how you're saying the best stuff was down the stretch.
No,
I was just about up fucking dancing
the better
to Breaking
zombie
Free.
stuff.
Yeah,
the better character and zombie work came towards the end. And there's one in particular that I'll talk about that I really, really liked.
Yep.
I thought the girl playing Anna, Ella Hunt, I thought she was really good.
Excellent.
And gave a really, really good performance. I actually thought her friend was okay. The boy, the guy who liked her.
Yeah.
He was okay.
Yeah, he was alright.
He kind of gets fucked over.
He does. Well, they were the only two characters that were really built up.
And they're mining. They were mining for emotional resonance, but it didn't hit. with him, his death. For some reason, I couldn't stop laughing at the vice principal, or the principal
Mr.
fella,
Savage,
as he walks towards those two people making out, and he just goes, "Withdraw your tongues!" and just fucking walks straight through him.
He was piss funny. He reminded me of I don't know why, I was getting a Walter Peck vibe.
Yeah.
Like, just a down the line asshole.
Yeah.
That, much like Walter Peck, some of the stuff he's saying is, legit.
Yeah.
Listen to the bloke.
And he was all right. Actually, his performance wasn't bad either.
Well, I actually think there's something really funny about that too. Me having done a little bit of teaching, him being the teacher and seeing kind of like, he's supposed to be instilling the best of humanity, but he's kind of fucking calling them your fucking little zombies anyway. Like, you're trying to instill the good parts, but you see some of the worst.
Yeah.
And having him playing that role of being the real kind of down the line, we're going to cut people off when we need to, I'm in charge, doing all this sort of stuff, I just kind of made me laugh for some reason.
And look, he was all right.
He was good. He was really good. And he was hamming when it was down the stretch. He was.
He was probably one of the more seasoned actors. I believe he'd been on Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So he was a bit more seasoned than some of the others. I like the way they introduced the zombies with her sort of accidentally running into one out the front. And she's so preoccupied, she just kind of goes, "Oh, sorry," and walks on.
Yeah.
And then he kind of turns around and
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of cool. The talent show song by the two guys dressed as penguins.
You like that one, did you?
That was funny.
I preferred the next one. When she's talking about how her fucking...
And she's got all those guys, Santa unloads your sack and all this sort of stuff. she's got all these
the chimney
half-nude dancers behind her, all these blokes and stuff.
Isn't that where Savage is kind of sitting there and he's just looking at it and then he goes, "Fuck." Just starts blowing up. This is probably where we differ. This might be on your dislikes list, but I felt they nailed the songs prior to that. I thought the Breakaway one was very good. Sounded like a kind of 80s pop sort of thing, which is perfect little one to come in with. And then the one about the Hollywood ending, I love the way they shot it. How they're just kind of talking, and then it goes to this dreamy kind of film clip tone, and her mate starts singing it, and then you see the other people at the other tables start singing the Hollywood ending bit, and the fucking janitor's cleaning up and singing behind it. I really like that one. Liked it a lot.
I didn't hate the songs. They just didn't do a lot for me. I felt like I was watching Glee.
Look, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did they need to be a little more bro country to be?
They needed to be. But if they were fucking bro country,
you know, Georgia might have stepped out and started singing
I'd have been excited. They just didn't really work much for me because, as I said, I didn't find anything memorable about any of them. And there's one in particular, but it's probably one of the stinkers. Because I think it's a little bit later on, where the blokes are walking towards the camera like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not good.
Right.
You know, like... And so I don't think any of them really hit for me. It had a High School Musical or Glee vibe. It was a very...
Oh, come on. If you're telling me get your head in the game better than break away, we're going to have to step outside.
No, I'm saying neither of them are any good. What I'm saying is it just didn't quite...
Look, we know you love a bit of Zac Efron.
Because
You've
we
said
had-
that before. You're a big fan of the bloke.
Mate, me and Zach, I go back a long way.
But
Love
he
the bloke.
wouldn't hold a candle to break away.
The problem with them was for me was they just felt like... Because we hadn't got to the zombies at that point.
No.
So I'm sitting there going... What's this about? You know, like,
It's called music.
I kind of wasn't really switched on to it. When the zombies came into
Yeah.
play, then the movie changes for me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it didn't. The musical numbers unfortunately didn't get any better. In fact, as
Well,
you
for
said,
me,
they
I
loaded
think
up front and then they went, oh shit.
There's a couple
Oh, we got some
that I liked when the zombies come along, but I felt the standout ones that I'm still fucking humming along to or whatever
they
were
were
the ones early.
Definitely. Everything kind of did taper. I did like the one where she's singing that upbeat song about turning her life around, and in the background, everything's going to shit.
Yeah, and he's coming from the other
Direction.
Yeah.
But again, there's a dislike to that I said before about being derivative.
Yep.
But I did like it. I actually liked that one. Not necessarily because of the song, but I just like the fact that it had that upbeat vibe and she's all excited and dancing, and in the background there's fucking flames coming out of
going
people
on,
and people
yeah.
getting attacked. And knocking a bloke's head clean off with the end of a seesaw. Very cool.
Good.
I take
and I
that.
also enjoyed a mate's reaction. What's his name, John?
Yeah.
His reaction. The head goes flying off and he goes, just starts screaming at it.
And then when they hit the bowling alley and they're beating that chick's head, beating her to death with a toilet fucking
Yeah,
seat, and then
yeah.
another guy gets a
It's
pair
a
of bowling balls
and-
across the head.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Oh, that whole scene, in fact, is really good.
Well, that's where you kind of wanted it when they were in like the school as well. You wanted the I guess the innovation on the zombie stuff by using the stuff that's in the environment, which is what works really well in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
To be present elsewhere, that's where it was.
Yeah.
Basically, and not too many other places.
But it's good. That scene is just good, gory sort of fun. And it works. Look, he was a likeable character, John, and his death, I guess, packs a little bit of punch.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's not in my likes.
No, it's not. I wouldn't call it a
Definitely
like. Maybe the like's more that he is kind of fairly fleshed out.
Yeah.
And they kind of... They use it at about the halfway mark.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a little bit of a...
Surprise, I guess.
Didn't surprise me one bit, because you kind of knew that he was probably going to be in trouble
Mm-hmm.
at some point. But I felt that was okay. Finding a dildo in the lost and found box?
That's all right.
Oh, mate, nothing wrong with a little bit of bloody low red
Couple of
humour.
cheap gags.
Loved
That's
it.
okay. Yeah, there's a couple of cheap individuals watching it, so that's totally fine with me. I actually, there's a line prior to that where this is one of my parts where I'm looking at it going, there's elements that are really good, like so good. The line when the girl that sings the song with all the double entendres is talking to Savage, and she's talking about the old bird's heart and saying, what can we do? And he starts saying to her, what does civilization do when it finds itself on the edge?
Yeah.
And she says, we help each other. And he says, we prioritize.
Yeah.
And he kind of moves on, and I'm like, that is a great villain line.
Yeah.
And that's where we're getting this whole, that's where you're going back to Night of the Living Dead, and you're getting the monsters are in the house.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like that stuff is fantastic. And it was just there, and then it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
Savage becomes a ham.
yeah,
And
yeah.
does very little.
And I was okay with him hamming, but it was just sort of like there's parts of that, there's lines like that, and then we don't see him.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's part. This is the.
And again, the budget constraints probably played a fairly big part in a lot of this.
Yeah, and like just bits around pacing and who you're spending the time with, and
Yeah. My final like, and it's probably my favourite, was when Chris and his girlfriend get bitten at the same time.
Yeah, that was really
and
good,
they
actually.
die. They change while they're watching the video of all of them.
Yeah,
On
yeah,
Sky.
yeah.
I thought that packed shitloads of punch.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
I almost teared up.
Yeah, that was much
I was
better.
like, that is really strong.
And those two weren't even
Key. They weren't even key
they weren't even
contributors.
key, but they were just. We spent a little bit of time with them,
Yeah,
but it was just so well done.
yeah, and I really liked it.
What about when they rock up and Savage is eating his Christmas dinner? Did you like that?
Yeah, what are you doing? I'm having my Christmas dinner.
That again, that was excellent build. So, like, it was so creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's sitting there, kind of eating alone, and then he's like, "Oh, you're very lucky they didn't leave yet. So they all wanted to leave, and then leads them through the door." And yeah, I like that a lot.
Any other likes for you?
No, that was pretty much it. I just feel like, yeah, for me, those opening couple of songs were really good. Like, I know you're saying you're comparing them to your favourite show, Glee, which it's very difficult to live up to that.
Or the new one that's on Disney Plus, High School Musical, the musical.
I haven't
the
watched
series.
it yet. Might watch it. Like, you never know. We'll
You
see.
never know what might fall into your lap.
But no, I felt like those first handful of songs, within the first hour, there's a couple of really good ones. And as I said, some of them reminded me of like 80s pop numbers, and I got a real vibe that, I know I mentioned Evil Dead the musical and Buffy the musical, that's kind of what it felt like to me. So I was right up with them. A couple of them might even make my Christmas playlist. Not that they're Christmas
Part
songs.
of the Bro Country playlist
Not
as
that
well.
Oh well, yeah, shit. They won't squeeze in between Florida and Georgia. They won't be able to step over the line for you.
Look, my biggest problem
Yep.
is like stage fright, and this is where we differ. You knew that the songs were getting worse, so you at least be able to say, well, look, a lot of the songs weren't up to par.
Yep.
There's a couple of good ones though right at the start for you.
Yep.
I will admit those two were probably the best, but it just didn't. It's the point of difference, but it just wasn't memorable enough.
Well, if you come out of a musical and you don't want to listen to any of those songs anymore,
It
the
hasn't
musical
done its
probably
job
hasn't done
for you.
its-
Yeah. And that was probably part of its problem. Although adding the musical numbers, I appreciate, because you're at least trying to do something different.
Yeah.
With a genre that is extremely difficult
Yeah,
to do
it's not
anything
easy.
new with.
Yep. Well, when you take zombies, it's hard to do new stuff there. You take musical, it's hard to stand out.
Yep. So you've got it. Your back's against the wall. The problem was they were very derivative in other aspects. So even if the musical numbers kicked ass, the rest of it was very derivative.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead, like I saw the trailer sort of says Shaun of the Dead meets
La La Land.
La La Land, and I'm like, Shaun of the Dead is spot on. Like they have cribbed very heavily from Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I assume it's kind of comedy horror.
Yeah.
Yet it was not particularly funny. Like
No, it wasn't. There wasn't a huge
I
amount of
giggled a
laughs.
couple of times. I giggled. I mean,
Yep.
I will giggle when someone finds a dildo in a lost and found
Yeah,
box.
exactly.
But other than that,
Well, it was missing the customary fart gag. I would have got another chuckle
you
out of it.
have
so-
to throw that in there in my book.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't particularly funny. So Shaun of the Dead is funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's very funny. This didn't have that
No.
working for it, and it even had some of Dawn of the Dead to it, the remake of Dawn of the Dead. So it cribbed fairly heavily from that. But I will give them a tick for trying something different.
I think you need to listen to those songs again.
Well, look,
your toes will be tapping. I
I'm
guarantee
sure
it.
they'll be on Spotify somewhere, will they? I look at Train to Busan, and I think to myself, it was derivative,
Yeah.
but it did it real well.
But it did a lot of things. It
Really
took,
well.
It took new elements to it.
Yes.
The new setting.
And that's kind of how I feel about zombie films these days.
Yeah.
Give me something good.
Yeah.
Deliver me something good. Even if I've seen
just
it.
an angle. Someone's got to find an angle and.
But even if I've seen it 100 times, but you do it real well, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And this unfortunately didn't do its key thing well enough
No.
for me. One musical number in particular about kicking zombie ass. No.
Was that soldier, something, a soldier of a man or something like that?
Shit
I can't
house.
remember.
Like
Yeah.
shit house. They're dancing around there like the fucking Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
The song's very average. That character...
You know what? I hated the character, but I actually thought that was the best moment he got.
Yeah, well, it was probably his best moment.
The
'cause he
song
did-
was like catchy-ish, but his mates, the way they were, puffing the chests out, ready to do it. I thought it was a piss take on what they were doing. And I thought that worked quite well, but the song wasn't one of the strongest songs.
Yeah, it was not.
in the
And
piece
his
one.
character was just a prick.
Yeah, his character was terrible.
Yeah, and to leave him still alive as a basically almost because they'd been in a relationship.
Yeah.
Stupid move. Stupid. And in fact, he should have been killed.
Look, I'm jumping down my list a little bit, but in general, he's a fucking tosser. But the dad stuff, his dad stuff, it doesn't land at all because there's been nothing in the lead up to make us like him one little bit. In fact, as I said, I felt he was a parody of the fucking masculine, the jock type, and we were going to end the movie thinking, yeah, we all hate these jock types. We all hated these people at school.
Yeah.
And then he has one little moment about what he had to do to his dad, which could have been okay, but there was no depth to the character prior to that. So we're sitting there going, okay, so he's told us he had to do this to his dad. He's still a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Doesn't change his character.
Anything.
He doesn't get much of an arc. He doesn't really
doesn't
do anything.
make us do. It's like, so after, he does something selfless after that. But it's after she's told you you're a prick. You're a selfish prick, which we've all seen through the movie. And it takes that for you to go, oh, okay, well, I'll do something selfless. That's not redeeming. You're still an asshole, mate.
Yeah. So
for
I
him
felt
to get that's
he should have been the one.
Yeah.
In fact, the payoff of that song about kicking ass would have been for him to just get dragged to the ground and ripped to shreds.
Yeah, possibly.
It would have been
Because
funny.
it felt like a parody.
Yeah.
So it felt like they were eventually going to bite off more than they could chew, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
And it just didn't eventuate.
Yeah, and it was just his character is sorely lacking. He disappears for a long portion of the early part of the movie and then appears and we're supposed to be what?
Still
Excited by his presence, the fact that he's there to save the day.
Yeah. Or just his character wasn't anything for me.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really fucking pedantic from me, but I had quite the issue with the forced laughter from characters. I know there was an acting issue, but there was a number of times when the teens were sort of required to laugh at each other's gags and things like that, and it was fucking painfully forced.
I didn't see that. So you really played the boot in there.
Yeah, no, I was very displeased with it. Maybe it was because I was on the back of watching Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer go back and forth and seeing two masters of the craft.
Yeah.
And I've watched this and I'm like, fuck, these people can't even laugh correctly. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't real happy with that.
That sequence where she's singing the song and everything's going, that is very, very reminiscent of Sean walking to the shop to get the paper.
Yeah.
And everything, people are shambling around in the background and he's
But as you said,
barely paying attention
that's
to
one
it.
of the derivative parts that's done pretty well.
Yeah.
Because it's a new spin on it.
Yeah.
She's got the headphones in and she's singing a musical number. Okay, so you've taken something we've seen a lot more, but you made it really enjoyable and real kind of... That, again, I felt that was one of the better songs. That was in the portion where the songs were holding up really well.
So you were excited by that
before the bottom dropped out.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
Some
by
of the
that one.
last couple of songs are just a waste. They shouldn't have even had them.
You want to talk about stinkers?
It's not the one with the father.
No.
He's about to die. That's fucking terrible.
Human Voice. The one where they're in the bowling alley and the bloke starts singing about his phone, how he just wants to hear a human voice.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there going, I mean, the song wasn't all that good, But then I'm listening to what he's saying, and I'm like, fuck, there we got a bit of bloody tech shaming out of nowhere, and there was nowhere else in the movie that it seemed like it was trying to equate the zombies with people who were addicted to technology. But then he starts going on singing about how his phones were all addicted to these in this neon haze, and I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? This is fucking sprung out of the blue. Like, it came out of nowhere. It didn't link to any of this subtext that seemed to be going on before that. I didn't even really, it's not a zombie movie that stands out for me as like, it's not fucking Dawn of the Dead where we're looking at them shambling around the mall going, oh, okay, so this is about fucking consumerism. Yeah. I'm sitting there going, this is just a zombie movie. It's not saying we're all bloody tech addicts, and then they start singing this, and the song stank on top of that. It's like, man. Okay. That one sucked a little bit.
My last big problem was on several occasions they tried to inject emotional resonance into characters that had absolutely no right to have any of it. Like, they had the lesbian girl whose parents... that we didn't know where they were, were they safe?
Yep.
But who gave a shit? It never really...
Well, you know what? She was so isolated. I actually really liked her performance.
Yeah, her performance
she was actually the choreographer too.
Was she?
Yeah, she choreographed
that's not bad,
the dances as well.
Yeah, but
I liked her performance.
She was okay.
But she was so kind of isolated. The moments that really resonated with her was the one you already mentioned, where the guy that was doing the movie stuff was trying to connect with her.
Yeah.
And then when he's dying, he's hugging his girlfriend and he gives the little wave.
Yeah.
That was her moment. That was the best moment she got. And it was someone else's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of agreed. He was trying to make a connection with her through the movie, and they didn't really give her anything to go back with until it was all said and done.
Yeah. And then, obviously, coming back to old mate, the hero he sort of becomes... his stuff was just laughable. They tried to give him this emotional resonance.
That was a cheat.
Don't talk to me about my father. There was that whole scene.
It was an absolute cheat because her mate...
He sees his two mates on the photo of them.
Yeah.
And he gets all sort of teary. I'm like,
it's like you were all carrying on like...
You're all carrying on like people.
Yeah, you got nothing before that. And like killing her best friend... it just felt like a bit of a cheat. We kill her best friend, and then this guy says one thing about his dad, and we're supposed to be okay that they're going to survive together. Even though I'm kind of glad they resisted any kind of big sort of romantic love story moments with any of them.
But to me,
I was okay with that.
To me, she should have survived on her own. That was the whole point to me.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. I don't think she should have. I think she should have survived with other people.
Oh no,
but
definitely with others, but not him. Not him.
Yeah.
He's Gonski for me.
Yeah, he was a nothing character. But yeah, the thing for me was there had to be.
I will accept that you don't keep the friend. You kill him, you just do it a little bit better. It was clumsy as all hell.
Well, even if you kill him but you don't have the love story... even if you don't kill him but you don't have the love story, I don't know, I felt like that's where it was heading. I mean, I got a bit of a vibe of something like Love Actually, where, the guy at the door who's a scumbag, might I add, when we look back at that, you are a scumbag. Yeah. But the guy at the door...
mate. Look it up.
The guy at the door whose story sort of finishes with him still alone, but not wanting to ruin his relationship with his friend. Well, like, I'm okay with that. Maybe you have both of them survive. It's a fucking Christmas movie. I need something to be happy about at the end. So give me something. Don't leave her with that fucking prick of a bloke who you've given no development to. Like, there was nothing to feel good about him surviving through the movie.
Suddenly he turns into good bloke.
Yeah.
At the end,
nothing turned into a good bloke.
Because I killed his father, and I was forced to do this sort of bad situation. And
if you're gonna do that, you got to lay the foundations a bit earlier, right? Because he was an asshole of a bloke all the way up to coming and singing that song, which was halfway through the movie. Post that until his friends die in the warehouse, he's a prick of a bloke. And he does one or two things, and I'm still looking at you going, I don't like you, mate.
Yeah. I mean, that house didn't even have a slab.
Exactly.
It was No foundation was laid.
You're living in a tent at best.
And sleeping on the ground. It was not satisfactory at all.
No.
And it reeked of poor sort of script work that you would even consider him to be an appropriate character to still be alive. As I said, he's such an asshole, but he's a cocky motherfucker who walks around talking about how he kicks ass.
Yeah.
Take him out.
Yeah.
And show him he kicks ass for a little while.
Yeah.
So I felt that was a really missed opportunity.
Yeah, I wasn't real pleased with it.
No, not at all. Any other dislikes for you?
No, well, I guess I've alluded to it, but just the ending. Like, I didn't hate the ending so much and the two people singing the song. And I get, zombie movies and horror movies, and I'm used to downer endings, and I like them in the right place. But I'm just sort of like, I can't get over the feeling of you've marketed yourself with the Christmas vibe. You got to give me something, don't you? You got to give me something to be happy about at the end.
Anything.
Because we knew Anna was going to get there. So to have the other girl kind of save the bloke was kind of a nice little touch, but I just didn't give a shit because I didn't want him to be there anyway.
Yeah. I mean, couldn't they have had a little something about her being in Australia at the end?
I don't know.
Because, she talked it up. Again, that kind of... She talked up wanting to go to Australia and not go to uni and all that. And
I just feel like someone had to survive with her. Her dad or her friend had to survive with her.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. You didn't spend it with your family.
You could have had Dad.
Fuck. Give me something. I just, I wasn't real happy
I felt
with
you
that.
could have kept Dad.
Well, keep one of them.
Because
keep one of
you
them.
kill the friend midway through, gives you a little bit of something kind of
because you had
emotional.
the poignance. You had the poignance with the two that you mentioned. Even before that, when he comes back and finds his girlfriend still alive, but his grandma's dead.
Yeah.
And he kind of says, this is again one of these moments where I felt we're hinging on great zombie flick here.
Yeah.
He says, at least she wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
And he kind of comes to terms with it in the context of what's going on.
Exactly.
And that the world's turned into hell. That she got done in by a bad ticker.
Exactly.
And he kind of says, he kind of gets a little smile and says, at least she wasn't one of them. And kind of goes with it. I'm like, there's your poignance. We've got it. So I felt like killing her friend, although it stung a little bit, was a little bit cheap because he was the only other one than her that had all the development. But then when her dad was killed, you'd already got moments better than that beforehand.
Yeah, it's kind of like they couldn't help themselves.
Yeah.
They had to kill him for reasons I don't really understand.
Yeah, and his stuff was kind of carbon copy with her best mates.
Yeah.
Except he wasn't in the movie as much and you didn't see him get bitten.
But also, the whole idea was that she'd worked her way back to the school to get to him.
Yeah.
So you've done all that work. You've lost your best mate. We've had a couple of poignant death sequences in the lead up.
Yeah.
Mate, he's a survivor for
So
me.
what you've gained out of this is you're hanging around with the biggest prick in school.
Yeah.
That's all you gained.
So, moral of the story, the fuckwits always win.
The moral of the story is don't go back for your family or your friends because they're all going to get killed anyway.
But yeah, that's what it means. Like, everyone says that he's a massive prick throughout the film. You don't shape his actions at any stage until you tell us, I had to kill my father.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, sorry, mate. Are you okay?
Well, I'm sitting there at that point. He's such a shit character that I'm sitting there going, you know what? You deserve that. That's what you get for all the shit that you've put everyone else here through.
Yeah.
So fucking swallow that and move on, pal. Like, I'm not having this big, we talked about our dads moment.
Yeah.
Like, that meant nothing.
Poop. I was really, really disappointed in that because I felt that character was a real... He was the exact opposite.
It was like you're trying to twist the conventions a little, but it's just not... I mean, you can't just not build a character at all and then just expect us to say, oh, great, I'm
glad
really happy this
together.
bloke's around.
Anything else, mate?
No. I think the only other issue I had was why did they walk through that fucking Christmas shop? Remember they get to the front and they say, oh yeah, it'll be quicker to go through here. Yeah, but
Why?
I get that it looked cool and you had the Christmas things and it was a bit creepy. But mate, I mean, I've been to Bunnings. It'll take me 3 to 4 minutes to walk through Bunnings. Take me 5 to 6 to walk around it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let's cut through here, even though it's the more dangerous option.
Yeah.
Because the only justification they gave was, yeah, it'll be quicker to get through to school this way. The shop can't be that fucking big, can it?
No.
Walk around it.
Again, you're right. It was used as a place to throw a few.
Surely you can just walk down the street and see a horde of zombies and go, fuck, let's run in here.
My only other dislike would be, when you're coming with zombies, you need to come with speed. These days, the good zombie flicks are the ones running at pace.
Are you telling me their per kilometre numbers aren't up to scratch?
Yeah, not up to scratch.
If we were ranking them against our other contenders?
No, they're certainly well behind. You know what I mean? Like your 28 Days Laters, your Dawn of the Deads, you know, when the zombies are moving quickly, it infuses these sorts of things with a little bit of frenetic energy.
Yeah, see, I'm okay with that.
And although, look, it was a comedy, and Shaun of the Dead did the same thing.
As I said, I always kind of went back and forth with this until I read Simon Pegg's breakdown of why zombies are okay to be walking. Yeah. And I was like, oh, he actually makes some really good points.
And you probably needed it in this case.
So I'm sort of like, I mean, I've come to the point now where I'm like, that's a choice you make, and if you justify it, I'm okay with it. Like Train to Busan was another one that did the running zombies, and I felt that was fine.
Yeah, and it was required. Because, again, this was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, so you weren't looking for scares and tense moments.
Well, at the end of the day, the zombies proved very little threat.
Yeah.
Except when we needed a bit of that emotional
I also found that sequence where they come wandering out of the store with a inflatable pool thing. One of the dumber ideas rolling out.
Right.
I mean, these things are shambling about. You just put on a bit of fucking pepper, get yourself a weapon and start running.
Yeah, look. You sprint. You only have to go half pace and you're around them. They're all walking.
Look, you got to throw a step in, maybe a head wobble and a jig, but you got to go. Like you go
a little bit of a goosey here and there, a goose step here.
I'm keeping
goose step there.
I'm not wandering out with an inflatable raft over my head and thinking, they may not.
It's only a small town too. I'm backing myself in. I'm like, there's 100 to 150 people out on the street here that I've got to juke and balk around.
But I'm going wide. I'm getting more kilometres. I'm running further kilometres.
Yeah, but you can maintain. It doesn't have to be a sprinting pace. They're only walking.
Yeah, I only need to. I can drop back a couple of cogs as I go sort of on a wider route.
Look, your first 10 to 20, you're sprinting, but then when you realise you're in the clear, it's a
canter.
Yeah, it's a light jog, mate, at best. Keep that up for bloody 5 hours if you need to. You can run to the next county.
Yeah, I'm taking longer, but I'm getting there feeling that I haven't exerted everything I had.
Yeah.
So, I found that sequence to be kind of stupid. In a way, I felt they used it just for that gag where the old lady pees on top of it.
Yeah, which was pretty crappy.
Yeah, it was not funny. So nice try, but probably not really much in that. Like, you should have left that out.
Yeah.
I believe there's a couple of different cuts.
Look, given our discussions here, if we made a zombie movie, it'd be a prick of a movie. It'd be like watching bloody the running sequence out of Forrest Gump for 90 minutes.
Yeah, to start with oh shit, we better get on the move.
90 minutes later. The characters didn't get touched by a zombie for the entire picture and they outran all of them.
Overall,
established a running club.
Yeah, to continue humanity. Established a running club. A group of people that do ultra marathons for fun, but throw in the possibility of death into it. All right, So that is Anna and the Apocalypse. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podomatic. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at Thrill Me Podcast AU. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of our next film. But until then, take it easy and catch up with everyone in the new year. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.